Hello, baseball fans. I'm Mark Davidson. This is the Chatters Box, and on today's episode, we're covering the 2021 Pittsburgh Pirates. The 2020 Pirates compiled a .317 winning percentage, a great batting average, a terrible winning percentage. It works out to 51 games over 162, which would be the worst record for the Bucs since 1953. And that's not to say Pirates fans aren't used to losing a lot of games, as they've only witnessed 4 winning seasons since Y2K, and only 4 winning seasons since they last won the division in 1992. I'm sorry, Pirates fans. I remember watching the mid-2010 Pirates be a shrewd team that zagged when others zigged, and it seemed like they were a Rays-esque club in the National League. Now, I'm not sure if the wheels fell off completely when they didn't go all in when they had the chance. According to Kotz, their budget has never surpassed the $100 million mark, or if it was the Cole trade or the Meadows-Glasnow trade, but things fell apart and fell apart fast. Is there a fire nutting hashtag? In previous seasons, the front office has kept up a facade that they think they could be competitive, but they finally dropped that act this offseason and unloaded almost everyone with real value to restock for the future and to ensure they grab that last spot in the National League and maybe baseball. Let's do a quick offseason recap. Bucs fans, say arrivederci to Keone Kayla, Chris Archer, Trevor Williams, Derek Holland, Luke Miley, all via free agency and through trade. Josh Bell, Joe Musgrove, and Jameson Taillon are all out the door. And those are all J names, which seems discriminatory. Hashtag fire nutting. On the flip side, Pittsburgh will be welcoming the Todd Father Todd Frazier and Chasen Shreve, both on non-roster invitee contracts. Tyler Anderson is on a major league deal. Phillip Evans, Dustin Fowler, Michael Perez, and Troy Stokes are all waiver claims. Through the trade vine, the Pirates are bringing in a lot of players, a lot of young players too. Let's go trade by trade and do an unboxing of sorts. For Josh Bell, the Pirates received pitchers Will Crow, who debuted in 2020, and 19-year-old Eddie Yeen. Neither player has much prospect pedigree or future value, but at least the Pirates sold Bell when they could still get something back for him. For Musgrove, the Padres and Mets sent over a package of 5 players. 2 righties in Major League pitcher David Bednar and prospect Drake Fellows, 1 lefty, 22-year-old prospect Omar Cruz, and 2 players with decent projected hit tools, catcher outfielder Endy Rodriguez and outfielder Hudson Head. And finally, Pirates fans will be robbed of witnessing Jameson Taillon's comeback firsthand at PNC. But for their loss, they acquire Miguel Yajure, probably the most noteworthy prospect that they received out of the 11 players, and pitchy Ronzi Contreras, and power first bats 18-year-old second baseman Michael Escoto and 21-year-old outfielder Kenan Smith Njigba. So I was kind of kidding earlier about the Pirates having an unfounded disdain for J names, but maybe they do have something for interesting prospect names. Their top prospect list boasts the following names: Cabrian Hayes, obviously, Quinn Priester, Tanhaj Thomas, O'Neal Cruz, Miguel Yajure, Travis Swaggerty, Ji Hwan Bae, Hudson Head, Ronzi Contreras, Kenan Smith Njigba, and Lolo Sanchez. There are others too, and if any of you Pirate prospect heads want to let me know who you feel I omitted, please do so. But while we are talking about these prospects, it's not likely that we see many of these names this year, as most of these guys are at least another year away. But as you can see, it's easy to try to focus on the future in Pittsburgh because the present is the Pits. Although when you look at their lineup, I think it's a lineup that you look at and think, if each guy reaches their 90th percentile projection, it's a decent lineup. Adam Frazier at second base, Cabrian Hayes at third base, Cullen Moran at first base, Brian Reynolds left field, Gregory Polanco in right field, Anthony Alford center field, Jacob Stallings at catcher, and Kevin Newman at shortstop. We can break this down into groups of two, kind of. You've got two guys in here who had good 2019s. Brian Reynolds garnered Rookie of the Year votes in 2019 as he slashed 314, 377, 503 with 16 hackers over 546 plate appearances. His expected numbers fell off last year, but they actually did back up most of his performance in 2019. I think you focus more on that than the small sample of 2020. The other guy is Kevin Newman, who hit 308, 353, 446 with double-digit homers and steals. His skills remained virtually the same in 2020, but he experienced a massive drop in BABIP. All told, he underperformed a little more in 2020 than he overperformed in 2019, if that makes sense. But his job's a little under fire with Cole Hutchins, Cole Tucker, and Eric Gonzalez breathing down his neck. In this lineup, you've got two guys who are consistently league average hitters. Colin Moran owns a 272, 330, 428 line since he became an everyday player, and that's a 100 WRC plus on the nose. And that's a line that would look a lot better if he was playing a more demanding defensive position than first. And the other guy's Adam Frazier, who over 1,804 career plate appearances owns a 273, 336, 413 slash line, 100 WRC plus on the dot. I love Adam Frazier, and I find him overlooked because you don't think of him when you think of really good second base utility types who can offer 2 WAR per 600 plate appearances, but that's exactly what he's done, which puts him in the realm of an Enrique Hernandez or Jurickson Profar, and those guys are loved. They've been on better teams. You've got two former top prospects, Anthony Alford, who if healthy may finally get a chance to prove if he can stick in the league. He's played in parts of 4 Major League seasons, but he's only tallied 88 plate appearances at the highest level. Obviously, you love the athleticism. He was a quarterback at the University of Southern Mississippi while he was also a minor leaguer for the Blue Jays, and that is so cool. And the other guy is Gregory Polanco. Now, lumping those guys together sells Polanco short on what he's actually done in the big leagues. In every season that he's appeared in over 130 games, he's been worth over 2 WAR. And as recently as 2018, he was 23% better than the league average hitter. Injuries have since hampered his production, and he never did reach the ceiling that people saw in him. But if he's right, you've got a solid player you can flip for something in July. And finally, you have the 2 players who received the most optimistic projections in 2021. The first is catcher Jacob Stallings. His solid overall value comes from him being an elite defender. He not only blocks well and controls a running game with a plume, but he receives strike calls at nearly a 50% clip in the pertinent zones around the plate. Per defensive runs saved, only Austin Hedges and Roberto Perez have saved more runs over the last 2 years. Hello, Cleveland. There's not much in Stallings' bat, but if he can OPS 700 like he has the last 2 years, you love it. That, of course, brings us to Ke'Bryan Hayes. He led all NL rookies in 2020 with a 1.7 WAR, despite only playing in 24 games. In the small sample that we got to see him in, he hit the ball hard enough to push anyone on the fence about whether he'll be an everyday big leaguer or a true star into the latter group. His exit velocity was the 18th highest in the league for anyone with a batted ball sample size of 50 balls. His hard hit rate was the 9th highest in the league. A guy named Mike Trout was 10th. And while Hayes' 6.1 barrel per plate appearance was average, you combine that with his paltry 7.1% swing and strike rate, and there's so much to like here. All that being said, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him struggle at times in 2021 as the book about him gets written. But even then, his floor is so high because he also runs well and plays all-world hot corner defense. The supporting cast on offense includes the aforementioned Todd Frazier, Phillip Evans, Dustin Fowler, as well as Michael Perez and Eric Gonzalez. Now, what was to be the team's biggest strength, their rotation, was gutted over the course of 5 days in January as they shipped off Musgrove to the Padres and Taillon to the Yankees. When your 1-2 punch goes from Musgrove-Taillon to Brault-Cool, with Tyler Anderson as the third man up, it really is a group of 4s and 5s and Mitch Keller. And I mean that positively, actually. I really like Mitch Keller. At least I thought I did. Funny enough, I liked the 7.13 ERA version better than the 2.91 ERA version of Mitch Keller. During 2019, Keller was the victim of an insane 475 BABIP, but the solid K to walk numbers that he showed in the upper levels of the minors were there. He had a 28.6% K rate and a 7% walk rate. Great. In 2020, his K rate plummeted to 18.4%. His walk rate skyrocketed at 20.7%, and he gave up 1.66 home runs per 9. But his ERA improved by 4.22 runs. Only in baseball can you be so bad and get such good results. Now, I looked through everything. Tunneling, release point, spin axis. The first thing that jumps out is a decrease in velocity. His average fastball dropped from 95.4 to 93.9, or 83rd percentile to 62nd. And with that, his spin rate, because according to Bauer units, a pitcher's spin is directly related to his velocity. Whether that drop in velo was due to the injuries that he incurred during the season, I don't know, but it's possible. Also possible is that he made a physical adjustment by throwing the ball, by releasing the ball slightly higher, might have altered the spin axis on his slider. But maybe the answer is as simple as throwing strikes. In 2020, the only pitch he could consistently put over the plate was his fastball. When a hitter can eliminate 3 of your 4 pitches and just sit fastball, they're gonna get you. Keller went from throwing 51.9% of his pitches in the zone in 2019 to 46.7% of his pitches in the zone in 2020. Now, there are plenty of guys who succeed with lower zone percentages, but it was also the severity with which Keller missed the zone that made him so bad. In 2019, Keller threw pitches in the waist zone. It's also known as non-competitive pitches, 2.5 feet away from the center of the plate, 6.4% of the time in 2019. In 2020, he wasted 13.5% of his pitches. For pitchers with 300 pitches thrown, that was the 16th highest percentage. And weirder still is that Keller finished 2020 with 11 2/3 inning pitch of no-hit baseball, with 11 Ks and 10 walks. It's baseball. Perhaps I've been unfair in not highlighting Brubaker yet, which I will do now. He had a nice little debut in 2020. He seems to have good vertical separation between his fastball and his curveball. The pitches mirror each other well, and he utilizes his changeup as a thwart to lefties. He has solid ground ball rates and produces a lot of soft contact, so I actually like him, pretty good for this team. Beyond that, the other pitchers projected to receive starts in 2021 include Miguel Yajure, Will Crow, Cody Ponce, and Sean Poppin. Moving on to the bullpen. It's headlined by Richard Rodriguez, likely serve as their closer again in 2021. After him, slots in Michael Felice, and they'll likely see if Chris Stratton stuff continues to play up after a full-time switch to a relief role in 2020. Kyle Crick and David Bednar round out the main players in the relief corps. The sole lefty Derek Shelton will have at his disposal will be Chase and Shreve, and they'll also see what they can get out of Luis Oviedo. For fantasy, the play is clearly Brian Hayes. Though, like I said, temper expectations as the league adjusts to him. Your other options are Brian Reynolds and Richard Rodriguez and Mitch Keller. If you play in a really deep league, Adam Frazier and Gregory Polanco. I think there's another level we'll see from the Pirates in 2021. And I mean, there's a lower level. Once they sell off whatever they can at the deadline, then we will see them hit true rock bottom. According to my projections, the Pirates are going to win 62 games, and I will take the under on that. So Pirates fans, let me know what I missed, if there's anything else I need to touch on, and what you're looking forward to this year. #FireNutty.